Welcome to another Demarcation Media Mega Construx review. Recently, Mega has released, or kind of released, the Renegade Banshee, which is the Halo TV series Banshee. And it's essentially the Reach Banshee, and it's kind of cool. What I wanted to do today is take a look at how it stacks up to the Arbiter's Quest Banshee and the Banished Banshee, build-wise, looks-wise, and just kind of see them all side by side, see what's different. So let's go ahead and jump in, starting with a quick look at the Arbiter's Quest Banshee. This is specifically the Halo 2 Banshee, and it looks pretty good. This is a reused design, actually. The original one came from the Aerial Ambush remake. I don't remember the year that came out. You get this little flight stand with it. It has the purple kind of canopy on there. The guns are brick built with print on it, and you have two actual shooting things in the middle. The wings have a stopper to keep it from getting out of its particular angle. You can open it up. There is a little like display in there, and then you have the little thruster sections here. Overall, it's a really solid Banshee, and potentially, I would say the definitive Banshee. If you want a singular Banshee in your collection, this would probably be the one to get. Next up is the Banished Banshee from the 2020 wave of Halo Infinite sets, and this poor guy gets so much flack. So much hate because it isn't the original Banshee. It isn't dark enough red. It doesn't have enough scratches. The front has a gap. There's just so much flack that it gets. I don't think it deserves that much flack. Overall, it is really darn accurate to the Infinite Banshee, and whether you like that design or not is personal opinion, but this build is really accurate. Yes, that is a bit of an ugly gap. I think Mega could have fixed that, but as a whole, I don't really think there's anything hugely wrong with this set. We've got the display in there. There's some clips for weapons that can close. We have yellow shots, which is a little weird. I don't really understand that. But we've got this metal add-on piece. And overall, really, I think the only thing that's wrong is that gap is too big. The guns are brick built and they're shooters, and I think it actually looks pretty good, surprisingly. Usually those shooters are kind of like, why did they have to do that? But that actually looks good, looks pretty accurate. And of course, we get a flight stand for this one as well. That brings us to the Renegade Banshee, and this one is a little bit chunkier than the other two. We'll see them side by side in a second. The thing that I really wanted to look at here is, number one, we have a lot more print. There's print on the wings, there's print on these back pieces, print on the canopy. The actual turret pieces that Mega used to use comes back, and the gap returns. A lot of people keep saying this is like the best Banshee ever, and they hate the Banished one because of the gap, but this one has the same gap. So if the gap is what really hurts it for you, then you're going to dislike this one just as much as the Banished one. That gap is there because these actually share the same canopy. And look at that, the gap is actually identical. It's pretty much the same. So yeah, these share the same canopy. This one just has the add-on Banished piece, while this one does not. I've heard a lot of people saying that they hate the fact that there's a peg hole here. I'm like, yeah, I mean, sure, that's a fair criticism, but also this is Mega, and we've got studs covering the wings. So saying that you don't like a peg hole while the whole thing is covered in studs and peg holes, and yeah, I just don't really know if that's a totally fair criticism. This has a bit bigger of a wingspan, and overall just feels larger than the Banished Banshee, which I think that's good. I like the bulk of this one. And then if we bring this guy in, this one is kind of color-wise almost the same. You can see the wings are bigger, but this new one is much wider. Well, I guess it's not, I shouldn't say much wider because the build itself is only like a plate wider, but the wings are bulkier and thicker, much more like the Reach version than the Halo 2 version. This does also open up. Actually, I think that has its own unique windscreen. little display in there, but these share the same, which is kind of cool. This one also does not have any stoppers for the wings, so the wings can do the flappy Banshee thing. Flappy Banshee. So that's a little bit weird. You can turn it all the way down. And no flight stand. There's just these 2 bricks on the bottom, which is kind of weird. I don't really know why Mega did that. I guess the bricks, you can set it down and that helps you to set the wing curve properly. But a flight stand would have been kind of nice because it's kind of hard to display a Banshee on the ground. Yeah, it could be landed, but like that's a little weird. So I want to see, is there actually any way to even use a flight stand? Because this has the holes on the bottom, both of them do. Oh, another thing, I almost forgot to point out, this has no shooters of any sort. Both of these other guys that we're looking at have shooters. This one does not. It also has 0 way for me to attach this flight stand. I would have to get other pieces, but that's basically what that would look like, and that would be great. Really don't know why they didn't do that. Instead, they just did this. Don't understand that. I will not understand that. That just baffles me. It really does. All in all, though, they do look pretty comparable. And I would say probably everybody's least favorite will be the Banished one. But build-wise, the Banished one is actually the closer to this one. This one is basically a beefed-up rebuild of the Banished Banshee. The sides are built the same. The wings are even built generally the same, whereas this one is a totally different build than the other ones. This one has a little bit of that, but not much. It's mostly a changed rebuild of the Banished one. Well, there you have it. That is the 3 most recent Banshees all together. And I gotta say, I do think I like the new one the best. It just feels the beefiest and the most aggressive. That one is great because it is the Halo 2 design. And I do really like this one just because it's so accurate to the game. And it's nice to have something that matches the game, especially after flying that around in Infinite. All of them, I would say, are very solid. I don't think that any of them are just like, oh my gosh, that's trash. I do hear a lot of people saying that about this guy, and I just don't think that's totally fair. So which one of these 3 is your favorite? Do you like how this one stacks up to the others? Do you think that it could have been done better? Let me know your thoughts. Is there a Banshee that is not in this lineup that would have been on the top of your list? These are the only ones that I have, and a lot of the older ones are pretty hard to get, like especially the older like Space Banshee and the original Banished Banshee, the one from Halo Wars 2. That one's expensive now. Yeah, they're just a little too expensive for me to have tracked down just for this video. So this is just the 3 that I have on hand. And I felt like these 3 deserve the comparison because color-wise, those 2 are very similar. Build-wise, this guy and that guy are very similar. So they kind of fit together in that way. So which one of these 3 is your favorite, or which one would you put over these? Which one is your definitive Banshee? Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.